Imagine walking into a room and saying just a few words, yet everyone stops and listens. That's the power of how you speak. It's not just about what you say, it's how you say it. The way you talk can either pull people in or push them away, and when it comes to attraction, this makes all the difference. Women are drawn to men who speak with purpose, control, and a quiet sense of authority. But most men don't realize this. They rush their words, seek approval, or talk just to fill the silence. Instead of being intriguing, they come off as nervous or uncertain. A common mistake men make is trying too hard to impress. They over-explain, crack forced jokes, or speak in a way that feels desperate for attention. They think being loud or overly charming is the key, but in reality, that only dilutes their presence. Another mistake is letting emotions dictate their speech. When a man reacts impulsively, raises his voice, or stumbles over his words, he shows a lack of control. Women subconsciously pick up on this. If your words seem scattered, unsure, or filled with nervous energy, it signals weakness. On the other hand, a man who speaks calmly, chooses his words carefully, and embraces pauses creates an air of mystery and strength. This is where Stoicism becomes a game changer. The philosophy teaches men to master their emotions, stay composed, and think before they speak. A Stoic man doesn't blurt out words just to fill space. He speaks with intention. His voice remains steady, no matter the situation. He doesn't rush to explain himself, and he never seeks validation through words. This kind of presence naturally draws people in because it creates curiosity. A man in control of his speech appears confident, self-sufficient, and deeply attractive. That's what this video is about. By the end, you'll understand how to speak in a way that commands attention without trying too hard. You'll learn how to avoid the common traps that make men sound weak or desperate. More importantly, you'll discover how to talk with the kind of confidence, authority, and subtle mystery that keeps a woman's interest. When you master this, you'll never be ignored again. Most men believe that talking more will make them more interesting, but the truth is the opposite. The more you talk, the more power you lose. If you've ever been around someone who constantly rambles, you know how draining it can be. It's hard to take them seriously because they seem desperate to be heard. When a man speaks too much, explaining himself, filling every pause, or trying to prove a point, he unknowingly weakens his presence. Instead of drawing people in, he pushes them away. Attraction isn't built through endless words. It's built through mystery, confidence, and control. There's a deep psychological effect when someone speaks in a measured, deliberate way. A man who controls his speech instantly commands more respect. His words carry more weight because they aren't wasted. When he speaks, people listen because they know he doesn't talk just to talk. This is especially true with women. A man who doesn't reveal too much keeps a woman curious. She wants to know more. She leans in, wondering what's on his mind. On the other hand, a man who spills everything too quickly loses that sense of intrigue. If she already knows what he's thinking, what's left to discover? Talking too much often comes from insecurity. It's a way of seeking approval, trying to impress, or filling awkward silence. But confidence doesn't need constant explanation. A man who is truly sure of himself doesn't rush to speak. He lets his presence do most of the talking. Instead of blurting out thoughts, the moment they come to mind, he pauses, considers his words, and then delivers them with purpose. That pause alone makes him more attractive. It shows that he's in control, that he's not reacting emotionally, and that he doesn't need to force conversation to feel comfortable. Silence is powerful. It creates tension, mystery, and depth. Think about the most respected leaders or the most captivating people you've ever met. They don't talk endlessly. Instead, they know when to hold back. They know that a well-placed word can be more powerful than a long-winded explanation. Imagine a man on a date who listens more than he speaks. When he finally says something, it's thoughtful, direct, and leaves her wanting more. Compare that to a man who nervously fills every quiet moment with chatter. One builds attraction, the other kills it. Less is more. When you train yourself to speak with purpose, to embrace silence, and to let mystery do some of the work, you'll notice a shift. People will pay more attention to you. Women will feel more drawn to you. And most importantly, you'll feel more in control of yourself. True confidence isn't about saying more. It's about knowing when to say less. When you learn to control your words and embrace silence, the next step is to change how you speak. Most men don't realize that the way they structure their sentences can either build attraction or kill it instantly. One of the biggest mistakes men make is filling conversations with too many questions. While questions seem like a harmless way to keep a conversation going, they often signal uncertainty and low status. A man who constantly asks questions, especially personal ones, can come across as someone seeking approval rather than someone who is sure of himself. Think about how most men talk to women they're interested in. They ask things like, "Do you like traveling?" Or, "What kind of music do you listen to?" These questions don't create attraction. Instead, they make a man seem like he's trying to earn a woman's interest rather than assuming he already has it. This puts him in a weaker position. Women can sense when a man is seeking validation, and nothing is less attractive than a man who needs constant reassurance. A confident man, on the other hand, doesn't rely on questions to carry a conversation. He makes statements. A high-value man speaks with certainty. Instead of asking, "Do you like traveling?" he might say, "You seem like the kind of person who only travels for Instagram photos." That small shift changes everything. First, it flips the dynamic. Now she feels the need to respond, to prove him wrong, or to play along. It makes the conversation more playful and engaging, and most importantly, it makes him stand out. She's used to men asking her the same boring questions, but a man who makes confident statements instead of seeking approval catches her attention. This approach also changes how a woman sees you. When you make statements instead of asking for validation, she starts seeking your approval instead. She wants to know what you think. She becomes curious about how you see her. This is how you subtly shift the balance of power in a conversation. Instead of trying to win her over, you make her want to win you over. That's the key difference between a man who is chosen and a man who does the choosing. It's not about being rude or arrogant. It's about showing that you're secure in yourself. A man who makes statements instead of constantly asking for reassurance projects confidence without even trying. And confidence is what keeps people interested. The more certain you are in your words, the more attractive you become. When you stop seeking approval and start speaking with confidence, something interesting happens. People begin to see you differently. But to truly stand out, you have to take it one step further. Most men think being nice and agreeable will make them more attractive, but the reality is the opposite. A man who agrees with everything, avoids conflict, and constantly tries to please a woman might seem polite, but he's also forgettable. There's nothing exciting about someone who just nods along and agrees with everything she says. Attraction isn't built on politeness. It's built on emotion, challenge, and unpredictability. This is where teasing comes in. Playful teasing isn't about being rude or disrespectful. It's about keeping the conversation dynamic. It creates tension, excitement, and a sense of fun. Think about it. Women are used to men trying to impress them, complimenting them endlessly, and agreeing with everything they say. But a man who teases her, who isn't afraid to challenge her, immediately stands out. This isn't just opinion, it's psychology. Studies show that playful teasing creates an emotional response, making conversations more engaging and memorable. When you tease a woman in the right way, you make her feel something, and emotions create attraction. The key is knowing how to tease correctly. Weak, approval-seeking responses sound desperate, while good teasing creates chemistry. Imagine a woman says she loves yoga. The average guy might say, "Oh, that's great. Yoga is really cool." But a man who knows how to tease might smirk and say, "Yoga, huh? So basically, you just roll around on a mat and call it exercise." This playful challenge invites her to respond, to defend herself, and to engage with you in a fun way. It's not insulting, it's light-hearted, and creates an energy that makes the conversation exciting. A woman respects a man who can challenge her because it shows he's not intimidated by her. He's not afraid to push back, to have an opinion, and to make her work for his approval instead of the other way around. This is what creates real attraction. When you stop trying to please and start teasing in a fun, confident way, you become the kind of man people want to be around. Not because you're chasing approval, but because you're secure enough to be playful, unpredictable, and interesting. When you know how to tease and create excitement, something even more powerful comes into play: control. Attraction isn't just about words. It's about who sets the tone of the interaction. This is called frame control, and it's one of the biggest differences between men who command respect and those who get overlooked. The frame is the underlying reality of any conversation. Whoever controls it leads the interaction, while the other follows. And when it comes to attraction, women are naturally drawn to men who hold the frame instead of being pulled into someone else's. Women instinctively test men, not because they're trying to be difficult, but because they want to see what kind of man they're dealing with. These tests can be as simple as teasing you back, challenging something you say, or throwing a playful insult your way. Weak men fail these tests by getting defensive, over-explaining themselves, or seeking approval. The moment a man justifies himself too much, he's already lost. A woman might say, "Wow, you really think you're smooth, don't you?" A weak response would be, No, I was just joking. I didn't mean it like that." That reaction gives away control. It shows insecurity. A strong man, on the other hand, smirks and says, "I don't think, I know." He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't try to prove anything. He owns his words, and that's what keeps the frame in his hands. Keeping control in a conversation doesn't mean being aggressive or over the top. It's about being unshakable. When someone tries to throw you off, you don't stumble. You lean into it. Imagine a woman playfully accuses you of flirting with every girl you meet. The wrong move is to start explaining yourself, saying things like, "No, I don't do that, I swear." That's defensive. Instead, a man with frame control would smirk and say, "You caught me. I was going to propose to the waitress, but now you've ruined my plans." That kind of response flips the script. It keeps things fun, shows confidence, and most importantly, keeps you in control. The man who controls the frame controls the attraction. Women respect a man who stands firm, who doesn't break under pressure, and who isn't easily rattled. Every time you react out of insecurity or over-explanation, you give away power. But when you stay calm, unbothered, and playful, you naturally draw people in. It's not about forcing dominance. It's about owning your reality and inviting others into it. A man who controls the frame naturally understands another key principle of attraction: mystery. Women are not drawn to men who lay everything out on the table. They are drawn to men who make them wonder, who leave just enough unanswered to spark curiosity. When a woman feels like she knows everything about a man right away, the excitement fades. But when there are gaps, when there are things left unsaid, her mind fills in the blanks, and that's where obsession begins. The mistake most men make is revealing too much too soon. They think if they share their entire life story, their dreams, their struggles, and every little detail, a woman will feel connected to them. But in reality, this kills attraction. It removes any sense of intrigue. Imagine watching a movie where the entire plot is explained in the first 5 minutes. There's no reason to keep watching. The same goes for conversation. If you give away everything, there's nothing left for her to discover. The most attractive men understand this. They don't rush to explain themselves, and they don't fill every silence with words. They know that less is more. Every word you say should have weight. Instead of over-explaining, let your words carry meaning. If she asks, "So what do you do for fun?" Most guys would list off a bunch of hobbies, trying to impress her. But a man who understands mystery might simply say, "I have my ways." That response is short, playful, and invites curiosity. It makes her want to know more. Or if she asks, "Where are you from?" instead of just giving a basic answer, say something like, "Far away." You'd never guess. Now she's engaged, intrigued, and already chasing for more information. The secret to creating attraction isn't just in what you say. It's in what you don't say. Silence is powerful. When you don't immediately answer every question in full, when you let there be moments of pause, it forces her to lean in. She starts to work harder to get to know you. And that's exactly where you want her. When a woman feels like there's more to uncover, she becomes invested. She starts thinking about you even when you're not around. That's the power of mystery. It's not about being distant or playing games. It's about making sure every interaction leaves her wanting more. When a man understands the power of mystery, he naturally starts to develop another trait that sets him apart: emotional control. And this is where Stoicism becomes a game changer. Women are drawn to men who remain unshaken, men who don't let their emotions dictate their words or actions. The way you respond to situations, especially challenging ones, reveals everything about you. A man who is easily rattled, who reacts impulsively, who gets defensive or frustrated, he loses respect instantly. But a man who remains composed, who controls his emotions rather than being controlled by them, commands attention without even trying. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from mastering yourself. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about not letting them control you. High-value men don't react emotionally to women's tests. They don't get upset if she teases them. They don't become insecure if she challenges them. And they never seek validation through their words. Instead, they respond with calmness and certainty. Imagine a woman saying, "You're not my type." Most men would panic, trying to prove themselves, asking, "Why? What's your type?" A man with emotional control simply smirks and says, "Good. I'd hate to be predictable." No need to defend himself, no need to seek approval, just effortless confidence. The difference between reacting and responding is what separates weak men from strong ones. Reacting is emotional, it's automatic, and it often leads to saying things you regret. Responding, on the other hand, is controlled, deliberate, and powerful. If a woman challenges you instead of reacting with frustration, you take a pause. You let the moment settle, then speak in a way that maintains your frame. If she playfully insults you, instead of getting defensive, you flip it back on her with a smirk and a teasing response. This kind of emotional control makes a man stand out because most men are too quick to explain, justify, or seek reassurance. When you master the way you speak, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself. Your words carry weight because they are spoken with certainty, not desperation. Women can sense this difference immediately. A man who is reactive feels unstable, unreliable, and emotionally weak. But a man who is in control of himself, who never lets anything shake him, becomes the kind of presence that women can't ignore. Because deep down, every woman wants a man who can handle the world without flinching. And the moment she realizes that no matter what she says or does, you remain composed, she sees you in a different light, one of strength, confidence, and undeniable attraction. A man who has mastered emotional control naturally develops another powerful trait, speaking with purpose. Most men talk just to fill the silence, throwing out words without thought, hoping something will impress her. But the truth is, weak men ramble, while strong men speak with precision. Every word you say should carry weight. When you talk too much, your words lose value. But when you choose them carefully, speaking only when necessary, people pay attention. One of the simplest yet most powerful shifts you can make is pausing before you speak. Most men rush to respond, afraid of silence, thinking they need to keep the conversation going. But high-value men embrace silence. They take their time, thinking before they speak, making sure that what they say actually matters. When you pause, even for just a second, you create a sense of control. It shows that you're not desperate for attention, that you don't need to prove anything. And women notice this instantly. A man who speaks too fast, who fills every gap with meaningless words, comes across as nervous or insecure. But a man who speaks slowly, deliberately, with certainty, he exudes confidence. The power of saying less but making it meaningful cannot be overstated. Imagine two men responding to the same question. One rambles on, over-explaining, hoping to sound interesting. The other pauses, smirks, and delivers a short, impactful response. Who do you think will leave a lasting impression? It's always the man who speaks with control, because mystery and confidence are built through restraint. Women are naturally drawn to men who don't reveal everything too easily, who make them lean in and listen. One of the easiest ways to improve this skill is by slowing down your speech. Most men speak too fast when they're nervous, trying to force a connection. But slowing down, lowering your tone, and adding deliberate pauses instantly make you more attractive. It forces people to hang on to your words, to engage with what you're saying. And more importantly, it makes you sound like a man who is in control of himself and his world. If you want to develop a more powerful way of speaking, practice restraint. Next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, don't. Next time you catch yourself talking just to fill space, stop. Learn to be comfortable with silence. Let your words carry weight, and soon enough you'll notice something incredible. People will start listening more closely, leaning in, drawn to the presence of a man who speaks only when he truly has something to say. When you learn to control your words, you control the way people see you. Everything we've discussed, speaking less, making statements instead of seeking approval, teasing instead of pleasing, maintaining frame, embracing mystery, mastering emotional control, and speaking with purpose. All of it leads to one undeniable truth. The way you speak determines the way you are perceived. Weak men talk too much, explain themselves, and seek validation. Strong men speak with intention, stay composed, and naturally attract respect. Once you start applying these principles, you'll notice an immediate shift. Women will begin responding to you differently. Conversations will feel more effortless. You'll no longer feel the need to impress or prove yourself. Instead, you'll carry an energy that naturally draws people in. Speaking this way isn't just about attraction. It's about power, confidence, and self-respect. The moment you start controlling your words, you start controlling your world. So here's a challenge. For the next few days, pay attention to how you speak. Catch yourself when you over-explain. Notice when you're asking too many questions instead of making statements. Slow down your speech. Pause before you respond. Say less, but make every word count. Observe how people react to you differently when you stop trying so hard to be liked and instead start acting like a man who doesn't need validation. Mastering your speech will change your life in ways you never expected, because when you speak with control, women listen. When you speak with purpose, women respect you. And when you speak with mystery, women chase you.